Welcome to another show of Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara. Thanks for tuning in. Got another good show lined up for you this week, and I know you'll think so. Austin Ash going to join us this week. Congratulations to Austin. He is now a full-ride Iowa Hawkeye men's basketball player, so we'll catch up with Austin. And then David Eickholt, our Hawkeye insider, will close out the show as he usually does. But that being said, I've located Joe Mershman. My buddy Joe, how's everything going with you? What's happening in the world of agriculture throughout Iowa and the Midwest, my friend?
Well, Dave, it's cold. Plants need heat. You need the heat to emerge, just like humans don't like it when it's cold. So right now we're a little bit wet and we're cold. Hopefully break out of it this weekend and things will get better, but we still got some planning to do.
Yeah, there's a lot to get done, and it's always interesting, Joe. No matter what the weather is, it seems like it's either too wet or not wet enough, too cold or too warm. So hopefully we get a nice middle ground for you guys and we get everything rocking and rolling again. But I know you'll keep us updated on your YouTube show, Cup of Joe. It gets released every Saturday morning at 5 a.m. So thank you so much, my friend, for joining us. I look forward to catching up with you in a couple weeks.
Thanks, Dave.
Look forward to it, and thank you, Joe. Back with more Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara, in just a few moments.
His hands were hard and stained with dirt from breaking ground. He's the heartbeat of the heartland, and everybody knows if a ship ever comes in, it's coming in and rolls. He'll make it roll from sun up to sundown. He knows how to make Mother Nature come around with a saddle full of faith in fields full of love. He'll give it hell, and with a little help from above, he'll make it grow. They'll make it grow.
Hi, I'm Joel from Tice Chevrolet. We've lived through some very interesting times the last few months. Ensuring everyone's safety is more important than ever. That is why we're participating in the Chevy Clean program. At your request, we will pick up your vehicle, service it, and return it after we've cleaned it using the current CDC guidelines. This is just another way to work towards exceeding your expectations. So give us a call and let us show you what it means to be part of the Tice Automotive family.
Welcome back to Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara. Pleased to have this guy join us. You can see on the screen, he is Austin Ash, current Iowa men's basketball player. Congratulations in order to Austin in just a second here. I'll mention it to him again, to you, the viewers. Austin now on full scholarship with the Iowa Hawkeye men's basketball program. I always say, Austin, well, first of all, thanks for joining us. And secondly, big time congratulations to you. A job well earned and a job well done by you. You made it. Congratulations.
Thanks, Dave. Really appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Austin, I say this a lot on this program, and the viewers know, I always say I don't normally play favorites on this show, but who am I kidding? I've known Austin his whole life. Austin's dad and I went to school together in Castalia, Postville school area together, played all the sports together in high school. I will remind you, though, Austin, your dad's a year older than me. But I'd like to start with your past, and I've followed you your whole career, obviously, from youth basketball up to now, through high school to now the Iowa Hawkeyes. The thing that has always impressed me is your competition or your level of competitiveness, and it's still to this day. But coming up as a youth, and your dad was one of your AAU coaches, I just found it fascinating. He shared an older picture with me from back in the day of some great teammates you had, and you guys were, I believe it was the 5th grade AAU champs in the state of Iowa. Am I right on this?
Yep.
Give me some of the names. Tiger Campbell from UCLA, from UCLA now. Jack Nungy,
Yep.
A.J. Green, Austin Fife of Northern Iowa basketball. I know I'm leaving others off. Give me more.
John Nagel was on that team, West Delaware, 1,000-point scorer. Nate Distroff, Iowa City West standout, multi-sport athlete there. Nate Menser, Alex Davenport, a couple Linmar guys, but that was the main core you mentioned right there.
Man, what a veritable who's who. So as I joked with your dad, geez, I mean, it was all coaching and no talent, right?
Yeah, pretty much. He didn't have
Boy,
to do much.
Something else. Yeah, and so you go back with Jack Nungy a long way, and then obviously it was well documented this year, but a lot of people didn't know. You know, Jack grew up in Iowa City until about that 5th grade year, and then his dad was transferred into Indiana as a doctor, and I our heart breaks for Jack Nunge, what happened this year, and he transferred. So not only you as a team collectively got him through that, but now with Jack moving on and transferring, talk about that a little bit. Again, you guys are a very close team. We all know this, but that really had to resonate with you guys and understanding that he transferred.
Yeah, I mean, we all love Jack. When it happened, we obviously were all there for him. It was hard for him, and not a lot of us have gone through something like that. So what do you tell a guy like that? You put your arms around him, tell him you love him, and you wish him the best. And we hope that he gets that where he goes next, and that he'll have a lot of success there. But we all love him and wish him the best for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you can do, and you guys did a great job of that. And Jack, what a stalwart to come through that as well as he did. So, Austin, I got to ask you, coming through the ranks, you're one of Mount Vernon's top all-time leading scorers in boys basketball, 1,000-plus or 1,200-point-plus score. And now you go to Iowa, and you had a lot of opportunities to play at smaller schools, but you were close from AAU basketball with the McCaffrey boys, with Fran and Margaret McCaffrey, your parents, them. You had a lot going on to go there, not just because you were friends or close to the family, but because of your abilities. And take us through that conversation when Coach McCaffrey, when Fran asked you to come on board as a preferred walk-on with the Iowa program, and where it's led today with the full scholarship.
Yeah, it was the summer going into my senior year. I actually played pretty well at a couple of AE tournaments that Coach had been at, because obviously Connor and Patrick played for the same organization as us. And I was starting to come onto the scene a little bit. A lot of NAIA schools, like my first scholarship was Clark. They called me and told me that they wanted me to come down on some visits and stuff like that. So obviously I was very excited from having no schools to have 3 or 4 schools now contact me. Northwest Missouri State, really good Division II program as well. And then, I mean, he talked to me, and then at the end of the phone call, he's like, we want you to come down and be a preferred walk-on here at Iowa and put some weight on you, get you stronger. And you never know in 3 or 4 years what the possibilities could be. He knows I can shoot the ball, and he has a lot of confidence in me since the day one, and obviously he showed that this year by rewarding me with the scholarship. So very grateful I took that opportunity for sure.
Shoot the ball indeed, viewers, in Austin, because, again, another AAU story in Kansas City as you were playing in a tournament there, and they had a three-point shooting contest. They had slam dunk contest. The NBA player Trae Young that played at Oklahoma and now is with the Atlanta Hawks, you beat him in a three-point contest. All humility aside here, be honest, tell us the story, please.
Yeah, so like you said, it was a tournament in Kansas City, and they brought all the teams together for the NCAA video about what you have to do eligibility-wise to stay eligible so you can go to these Division I schools. So they brought everybody together to watch that video, and to get people in, they did a three-point contest, slam dunk contest, whatever. So like the top 8 programs got to choose one shooter from any age level. So I was chosen. I think there was 8 of us, and there were some recognizable names in there. But Trae was obviously the one that stood out to me. And first round, I put up a decent number. Wasn't trying to get in the finals, and I did. Trae actually, I think, might have had a higher score than the first round, but top 2 went to the final. So it was me and him, and I went first. And I specifically remember when Trae Young went. It was Trae Young from wherever, has offers from Duke, North Carolina, Oklahoma State, and it was like, all right, 5'9" from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, Austin Ash. So I had the crowd behind me for sure. They're pulling for the underdog. So I went first. I put up a pretty big number. I think I got 23 or 24. And you got shot 4 shots in a money ball. And then when he was on his 4th rack, he was dead. He even if he made the rest, it was over. So I stood up, and the trophy was about as tall as me back then. And got to celebrate that with all my teammates. It was a pretty cool moment for sure.
Yeah, I love that. All the, he's going here, and offers here. Austin Ash, undecided. Yeah, and again, you grew up in Cedar Rapids, but went to Mount Vernon, neighboring Mount Vernon High School. And Austin, I got to say, I've known you, again, your whole life. Your dad and I are lifelong friends, grew up together. And what I enjoy most about you and talking to you, as people can see now, your energy, your enthusiasm on the bench when you're playing, cheering your team on, but the competitive fire that burns through you. And I've seen it, whether you're playing euchre, a card game, and yes, folks, big euchre player Austin is. But I got to say, seeing you play, and when you get your chance and your opportunities, you had a conversation with me privately, a birthday party for you a couple years ago, and you and I were talking together alone in your parents' basement, just chit-chatting about life, and you said, Dave, I'm at Iowa not just to be Rudy, the famous movie of the Notre Dame football player. I really plan on playing at Iowa. So I'd like you to talk a little bit about what your thoughts are going into this year now being on full scholarship. It's not just to say, hey, last year didn't count, I've got this year, and potentially the next year. Jabo's coming back. We don't know about Joe Wieskamp yet. CJ Frederick is gone. Jack Nunge is gone. Luka Garza is going to move on to pro basketball. Give me your thoughts about where you are going into this year and also with the team, if you don't mind, please.
Yeah. Ever since I came here, that was the goal. Obviously, first couple of years, not a ton of expectations. Wanting to just try to get bigger, faster, stronger, get some experience playing against some of the best guards in the country. And I definitely got that and improved throughout those years as well. And then coming up on not last year, but the year before, we had a couple of guys go down, and I had a little bit of a window opportunity there. Played some meaningful minutes at Indiana, and then had a really good opportunity to get a lot of minutes at Nebraska because they played a lot of zone defense and were all in on Luka, and CJ Frederick was out that game. I actually ended up getting ruled out with mono right before the game, so that would have been a big opportunity for me. So that hurt then, obviously. And then going to this year, we're just loaded with guards, and then with the COVID year, there was no red shirts, so it made it very difficult for me. So that was frustrating, but I mean, just take the most every opportunity I was getting, and then leading up to this year, I mean, that's still the goal, just to try to find a way to get in that rotation and find a way to help the team any way as possible, whether that's on the bench, cheer my teammates on, or being that guy to hit the open three and make the extra pass on offense and stuff like that. But that's definitely the goal, and that's what I'll be working on this summer with my teammates, just trying to find my spot on the team.
Yeah, it's been fascinating for me on the air and off the air having these conversations with your dad, Kerry. And obviously, I don't want to bring a lot of private information on the air that we've discussed. But, what I find fascinating with your team, and it's well documented now, but back in the day, how close you and Luka are, and you and Connor McCaffrey, you all, live together. And then you also have apartments right next to you with the rest of the team living together in separate units. But I think it's fascinating how close you guys are and what you and Luka share, especially, and seeing that on the court when he would come off from timeouts. And there's no secret you want to go into coaching for your future. You've verbalized that to me before, and I presume that's still your plan after your playing days. But to see you and Luka have these conversations and you pointing things out and him taking to heart what you were telling him and him also offering you some thoughts, just take us into that, whatever you can, that relationship that you and Luka shared. I think it's very special on and off the floor.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that makes Iowa special. I mean, ever since I got here, it's a family atmosphere. Like, no one's treating anybody differently. It's even with the managers, the assistant coaches, the trainers. It's just one big family, and that's one reason I've loved my experience here, and one reason I came back for this year as well, is not just the basketball, but just the relationships. And that's one thing. Speaking on that, that's why Luka loved Iowa so much, and what made him so special is he didn't belittle everybody. He had a relationship with everybody, and he was someone that would listen to anything he said. So, I mean, as the years went on, as my knowledge grew for the game and everything like that, I would be getting to point stuff out to different players. And Luka was an obvious candidate because, I mean, he was getting double team, triple team. It's hard for him to see all those things on the court. So it was just little things like, oh, this guy's got 2 or 3 fouls, like attack this guy, or he's giving me some space. Sigma, pull for that jumper. CJ's in the opposite corner. Stuff like that just try to help people out. Talk to Connor all the time too, Jordan. Just little things like that to help increase our chances of winning. And that's one thing is Luka, he'll listen to everybody. He wants to, any way he can get better or get an advantage on an opponent, he will definitely do.
Yeah, very impressive to watch that. So, Austin, I got to ask you this as we got a couple minutes left here with you. How do you see the team going this year? Where do you see, with Luka being gone? And well, first, before we get to that, do you see Luka getting drafted in one of the two rounds of the NBA draft, going overseas? Where do you see Luka's future? Not that I'm going to hold your feet to the fire on this, but I'm just curious what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I definitely think he'll get drafted. It's hard to know what team or what round and stuff, but I think once people see him in the combine and his work ethic and the way he just really shoots the ball, I think a lot of people don't realize how well he shoots the ball from deep. And I know that's something that he's working on every day, and his quickness has gotten so much better since last year when he already was possibly going to go in the second round and stuff like that. So I think someone will definitely take a chance on him, and he'll make it for sure.
Yeah, the consensus player of the year in college basketball. Let's hope so anyway. So, Austin, let's do this in the last minute or so I have with you for this week. I got to ask you where you see yourself with the team this year and how you see your guys, how your team is looking. I mean, everybody, we talked about the departures. Now let's talk about the guys coming back. And so you've got all these moving parts, a lot of questions, Austin, and I'm not asking you to give us the answers. Heck, we're only talking the early part of May here. We got a long way to go. But how do you see, what is the mood around the rest of these guys I just mentioned? I know you guys are still working out. So talk to me a little bit about next year.
Yeah, I'm really excited. It's obviously, you lose the National Player of the Year, so a lot of guys are going to have the opportunity to step up, and there's definitely guys that are ready to do that. Guys like Keegan Murray, Patrick McCaffrey, Tony, Aaron, and Connor can take his game to another level as well after getting surgery and feeling better and everything like that. But I think we're going to be a fast team. We're going to be fun to watch. Joe Toussaint is going to prove a lot of people wrong. Great player, can score the ball and can also pass the ball as well. I think we're going to be a lot of fun to watch, and I think the goal is the same: win a Big Ten championship and to make the NCAA tournament and make a run. I think we got the pieces to do that. I think it's going to be a little different, but we're going to be fun to watch. We're going to be up and down like we always are and shoot the ball a lot. So it's going to be good.
Look good indeed, and look for number 13 right there, Austin Ash, shooting that ball too. Congratulations again, now on full ride scholarship at the University of Iowa Hawkeyes, a lifelong dream. And again, I know you want to go into coaching post your playing days, so keep soaking up all that information. Keep coaching your teammates as well as you do when you're not playing. And Austin, I can't tell you from a personal note, but also a professional note, knowing your family as well as I do and knowing you your whole life, I just really appreciate you joining me and able to share this joy with us in getting something well-deserved by you. Couldn't be happier for you, Austin. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it.
My pleasure, and thank you. For Austin Ash, I'm Dave O'Hara. Hawkeyed with me. We'll be back with more David Eickholt, the Hawkeye Insider, to close out the show. Back with more in just a few moments.
Farming makes a positive difference in my life. I love to take care of the yards and the flowers in the garden, but I also like the opportunity that I have now that I can get in the combine and help when they need that. During the fall, one of the main things that I take care of is hauling grain to the elevator or hauling it here onto the farm and getting it in the bins. Women in general just have more opportunities that they can show their strengths today on the farm.
Hi, I'm Joel from Tice Automotive Family. We're living through some of the most interesting and challenging times many of us have ever seen. Knowing who you can rely on is more important than ever. Many of us turn to our families to get us through. And the same holds true here. From our fair, upfront pricing to exceptional service after the sale, we truly want to exceed your expectations. So give us a call or stop by and let us show you what it means to be part of the Tice Automotive family.
When you're a farmer, there's a lot of things you can't control. But there is a way to give your soybeans an early advantage. Mershman Seeds soybean seed treatment featuring Turpidity ST. An independent analysis has proven faster and more even emergence every time. Just look at the Mershman difference. Give your crop the boost it needs for a uniform stand. For the best yields, grow with us. Mershman Seeds.
Welcome back to Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara. As you can see on the screen, my buddy David Eickholt joining us. As he does each week, the Hawkeye Insider. You see all of David and my information at the bottom of the screen. That being said, as always, David, thanks so much for joining us. And secondly, how's everything going with you? I don't want to say downtime, but somewhat downtime. But you've always got something for us, right?
Yeah, downtime's a little bit nice, obviously post-spring football, but it's not that downtime's not going to last much longer, Dave, as the recruiting dead period is set to end June 1st, the 15-month-long dead period. So Iowa will be getting a lot of top prospects back on campus. And, keep in mind, Dave, it's interesting when you think back to last year at this time, Iowa had 14 football commits at this point last year. They only have 2 this year. So if you don't think Iowa's changing their way up a little bit to evaluate prospects in camps, Iowa's going back to the old Iowa way where they're very meticulous about who they offer. So I can't wait for, the prospects to finally be able to get a true look at where they could actually go to school for the next 4 or 5 years compared to what last year's recruiting class had to handle.
Yeah, I think you've hit upon a key point right there. Now they get them in person. They can let them see the lay of the land. The coaches can see what they've got. So let's do this. You've got a few position-by-position breakdowns that you've done in the past off the air. You and I have had this discussion. And I'd like to, if you would, any hot buttons for you or any players that we should look for. I know it's way too early. We just got done with spring practice, but how are we looking going into the summer?
Yeah, summer, I think the important thing is, Dave, you got to think about all that Iowa has to replace. And the good news about spring, according to Iowa coach Kirk Ferentz, was that Iowa's best players got better, but there's still going to be question marks. Iowa, for the 3rd year in a row, is trying to replace 3 defensive line starters. So they're looking for guys to be able to step up in that category. And this is a very popular pick, but I got to keep riding that bandwagon, Dave. Yahweh Black, right defensive tackle from Marshall, Minnesota, I think is going to be a guy that people are going to want to keep an eye on. One of my picks to click this season. Another guy that people I think will want to keep an eye on. Yes, Tyler Goodson's going to be the starter, first team all Big Ten running back. But I'll tell you, I really think Gavin Williams could make that push for that number 2 running back. We remember a few years back, Dave, that Akram Wadley, LaShawn Daniels combination proved to be very, very effective. And while I think Williams won't have the type of season Daniels had, he has that similar skill set. And I think Williams is a bit faster. So even when Ivory Kelly Martin comes back into the fold, I really like the 1-2 punch combination of Tyler Goodson and Gavin Williams. I think that people want to keep an eye on that as well.
We'll keep our eye on your picks to click. I like that. We'll be catching up with you throughout on that. So let's do this. Let's talk a little basketball. You've got some minutes breakdown, you think, again, way too early, but we don't even know yet if Joe Wieskamp's going to be back for sure, if he's going to take his name out of the draft, if he's going to be back for the NBA, if he's going to go to the NBA or back to the Hawkeyes. Jordan Bohannon coming back for year 6. We just had Austin Ash on the show talking about what he expects for this basketball season. So let's talk basketball, women's and men's at the University of Iowa. We got a little news on both for us.
Yeah, it's an interesting exercise, Dave. When you talk about the minutes breakdown, you have 200 total minutes. And if you don't really know that and you just sort of write all these things down on paper, you're probably going to end up allotting about 260 to 300 minutes. I mean, it's just so easy to say, hey, that guy's going to play a lot. Hey, that guy's going to play a lot, right? I think Keegan Murray has to lead the bunch next year, though. I think he needs to have at least 30 minutes a game. I think he'll be Iowa's number 1 guy. I think Jordan Bohannon will be about 26 to 28 minutes. Philip Rabracha, the North Dakota transfer, I think will have 25, 27. And this is my surprise pick, Dave. You and I have talked about this extensively, but I think Riley Mulvey is going to get a legitimate 8 to 13 minutes a game. I think Iowa's going to need to give Josh Ogundele another year to really sort of develop, and Mulvey's defensive prowess, I think, is what can earn him minutes on the floor. Keep an eye on Chris Murray as well, another wild card there, and I think Tony Perkins is a year away from starting, and Aaron Eulis is another sort of wild card depending on whatever direction Fran McCaffrey wants to go, because yes, Jordan Bohannon's the 2 guard, but maybe they move him back over the point at certain stretches of the game. So that's the men's basketball side of things. And as far as the women's, Caitlin Clark going to Colorado this weekend to do the under-19 Olympic tryouts. Remember, she's a 2-time gold medalist, and I fully anticipate her to make the squad just based on, what she did last year in college basketball. Very exciting and unique opportunity for her. And again, just more exposure for the Iowa women's basketball program.
You know what I think is really compelling, and again, congratulations to Caitlin Clark, and yeah, I think once she makes that, we'll fully congratulate her and give that mention again too. Thank you for that update. But when you talk about the men's program, I think it's very interesting with the minutes you talked about. There are a lot of question marks. Can Joe Toussaint step up the way everybody thought he could and did sometimes last season? But that lack of consistency, I know he's young, but now we're going into his junior year. It's time to, well, I guess depending, last year didn't count with COVID, but theoretically his junior year, Aaron Eulis, same thing. It's time for some guys to perform regularly or consistently so Jordan Bohannon can be at that 2 spot, as you and I have talked about. But you also mentioned about Keegan Murray. Does his brother Chris Murray, is he able to step up? I think you've really hit upon some key issues and a lot of interesting parts going to be moving all at the same time, David. Will be interesting to see.
Definitely will. And I think, I'd be very remiss to not bring up either the McCaffrey boys. Remember, Connor McCaffrey and Patrick McCaffrey will both factor in that as well. I will say I do believe Connor is going to be the 6th man. I don't think Connor is going to start next year. I think Patrick's going to be able to step into that role. I think it's going to be Joe Toussaint, Jordan Bohannon, Patrick McCaffrey, Keegan Murray, and Philip Rabracha as the starting 5 for Iowa. And I think Connor's going to be more than accepting of it. And if Patrick can continue to sort of up his conditioning and can continue to take that next step forward physically, I think that he's really starting to unlock his true potential. And last quick point about Joe Toussaint, Dave, remember, he played his best basketball down the stretch of the season, and that's exactly what you want to see. He had that rough early February stretch, but really pieced it together when Iowa needed it most.
Great stuff as always, David. Hopefully all this is on the money and on point because the Hawkeyes are going to need it this year. So much to discuss as always around Hawkeye football and Iowa men's and women's basketball, and we'll cover everything else in between. David, great stuff from you as always. He is the Hawkeye Insider. Thanks so much, David.
Hey, thanks, Dave. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome, and thank you. Thanks again to David Eickholt, Austin Ash, and also Joe Mershman, and to you, the viewers, for tuning in and making this number 1 late night on KFXA Fox 28. And I also want to say thanks to our advertisers and sponsors, so please stay tuned for just a second after the show for the rolling credits and give them your business whenever you're able to. So for all the aforementioned guests and to you, the viewers, thank you so much. I'm Dave O'Hara with Hawkeye. That's all from me. Thanks to all of you.